hello there, and welcome back to Music That Doesn't Suck, the place where we talk about music that actually doesn't stink. So, today...
It's very self-explanatory.
Look at that. Today we're going to be talking about bands, foreign bands.
Bands from around the world.
For around the world, rather than the usual American and UK bands, acts. So, anything that is from the land of the free, or currently speaking, the land of the not that free, are not accepted.
Mm-hmm. So those are the ground rules.
So basically speaking, we got like 3 options. So, what do you think about that?
So first and foremost, hello girls and boys, how's it going? Very glad you're back. Great to have you here as well.
The Estonian brave, that gotta be said.
Yeah. The thing is, when it comes to rock and roll, specifically, the crib for rock and roll is the UK. Then
rock music.
Rock music.
Yes.
Then America followed suit.
Yes, but then America became first.
Then America took the lead in that race. But there is still quite a lot of good rock music to be found elsewhere. Somehow there is.
But yes.
Maybe in lesser amounts, in lesser concentration, but there is.
Yes, there is.
And today's episode is all about that.
We're gonna try to talk about as many bands from foreign countries as we can.
Yeah. So
it's kind of funny because a foreign, it meant everything that is foreign to you, it's gonna be for depending where you are.
And the good thing is that to start with an irony, foreigner is not allowed in this list.
Actually, good point. Look at that.
So, would you introduce us to today's concoction, please?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Actually, good point. Today we're gonna be having actually the most British of drinks, because this is actually James Bond's drink. This is the vodka martini. This is a very simple beverage. It's just 2 ounces of vodka, half an ounce of vermouth, and that's it. And garnish it with an olive. Usually it goes with what's the name? A little bit of a lemon peel. Mm-hmm. But I ran out of lemon, so I tried the best closest. Yeah. So santé. Yeah, never fails. Yeah. Because the thing with this one is that the vodka, since it's flavorless, accentuates the vermouth, so you feel more the vermouth and the spice that is part of the vermouth.
But it's a very alcoholic drink.
It is full on alcoholic. That's why James Bond drinks that one.
Yeah.
It's actually very damn. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the topic then.
Yes.
Let's get to the chopper.
Yes.
First pick,
Rammstein.
Okay, so
yeah, because we're already there. Mm-hmm. Now the thing is that recently I did an analysis on the channel of Du Hast, because that's the most Rammstein song ever.
It is.
And somebody's dropped a piece of trivia regarding the track, because if I recall correctly, believe it or not, the song is about a wedding.
Yeah.
Somehow, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, me neither. And the guy was explaining to us that there is a play of words with the whole phrase "du hast," because if you remember, because you were the one who read the comment.
Yeah, it seems that there's something that is a very similar or even the same.
Phonetically speaking, right?
Meaning, I do, or
I accept,
or and I hate, or something like that.
Yes.
And apparently the whole shtick of the song is playing around with that.
Yes.
Of course, I didn't know that.
Me neither, because obviously I don't speak German. Yeah. So yeah. So what about that band? What do you think about him?
Rammstein, is a good band. It's a very good band.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a band that I gravitate towards very often, being very honest.
Me neither. It's not my jam.
It's not my style. Like but they are very good.
Excellent.
And I have always felt very strongly about going to one of their concerts.
Me too.
That's actually something that I would love to do.
Me too, because from what I have seen, and some of my friends that had the chance to attend to one of their concerts, everybody says the same.
Yeah.
Fantastic show. One of the best shows you can go.
Huge pyrotechnics.
Gigantic pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
And everything very choreographed. Great light show. Great everything. It's a very good show.
Yeah, they deliver spectacle. Apparently the energy is off the charts. Yeah, I haven't had the chance yet, but if I do have the chance, I'll definitely jump on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate. And look, it's not, and it's funny because both of us, not necessarily speaking, would like the band.
No, I don't listen to them often. And this is my own personal take. I find their music to be kind of boring, being very honest. Not bad, not poorly done by any means. Everything is super well done.
It's just to your taste.
It's to my taste. I don't like where it goes or where it not goes. I think it has too much techno to it. Not necessarily even only on the production side of things, even on the way that the songs are composed, because techno music also has that doesn't necessarily
Flicks.
take you into a ride. It's very
It's very not formulaic because that's
very
not the word.
square.
It's square, yes. The composition seems to be quite predictable to a certain degree.
and look, I don't since I don't usually listen to them. I don't really know a lot of their stuff. I also
Yeah.
have to be very honest.
It could be that, it might be. The same happens to me.
So
I feel the same way.
if some of you Rammstein fans have a song to suggest that would prove me wrong,
Listen.
I will be very open to listen to it. So
Yeah, please do.
suggest.
Please do. Okay, but how about them as a band? Besides their music, I think what makes them unique is, of course, the guitar tone. That's probably one of the monsters, one of the most monstrous guitar tones ever, don't you think?
Yeah, they have such a big sound. It causes a similar impression, even though it sounds nothing like it.
Yeah.
But you know where I'm going with this? With Devin Townsend. It has nothing to do with that sound. It's
Yeah.
just the impression of being
It's the massive.
very freaking big.
Yeah, it's gigantic. It feels like it's the biggest guitar I ever heard in my life, and up until this point, I think the only one that gets close to that sound is Devin Townsend.
But it's not similar by any
No, it's totally different. It's totally different. It's just the magnitude of the sound because look, we're using proportions
Yeah.
or words that would be used for describing proportions of something
Yeah.
to describe the sound of something.
The thing is that, for instance, a mammoth
It's
is
massive
big.
sounding, yes.
No, it's big. But Cruise is also big.
Yes.
And they don't sound the same.
No.
Yeah, I know that it's very.
I get what you're saying because a big ship would sound like a different way.
Yeah. Let's say a big vessel, a monomarth.
Yeah.
Even the imagery. And
Kinda.
they also sound big.
They do, but they're not as big as Rammstein.
And they fit into this conversation.
Yeah, we will talk about them later. Yeah, but the guitar sound is very unique, and also that interesting blend between electronic music, particularly techno, with this super metal sound, with a little bit of the industrial,
Yeah.
makes them quite unique, don't you think?
It's a very aggressive sound.
Aggressive is the way to describe it
Yeah.
because, again, being a total neophyte when it comes to Rammstein body of work, I have never heard a song by them that is not heavy, an aggressive sound.
Yeah. It's part of their
Yeah,
their sound.
of course they have to have slower paced tracks or even mellower tracks, of course, because they've been around for what, 20 something years now?
I think almost 30. I
Yeah, they should be getting close to 30 because
It's kind of early 90s, it's not.
No, late 90s.
Mid 90s.
not late because I think that album when I did the review is 97.
Okay, but they had some stuff from before that, didn't
Do they? I don't know. Yeah. Well, in case they have something earlier, it's mid 90s. So still, it's not necessarily that much of an old band, but the sound is so unique,
Yeah, it is.
very unique, and somewhat kind of stuck in that particular period of time, don't you think?
You think that
Because they don't sound dated. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But they sound. It's something that only could have come out of the late 90s.
Yeah, but the thing is that they created such a defined identity with that sound
Yeah.
that I think they can't really stray away from it.
No,
Because that sound is Rammstein.
it is. Indeed.
So it's kind of hard to move away from it.
Yeah, and how about the vocals?
They
Super unique.
they fit perfectly Rammstein.
Yes.
If
Yeah,
I
I
would
can.
put it in a way.
Yeah, I can. I because I don't think. Again, fans don't kill me. It's simply that I don't consider him to be a good singer. But he's excellent for Rammstein
Yeah.
because their music wouldn't work without him.
No, it
Be
wouldn't.
frank, because you need that super low, low pitch voice, and his performative aspect is actually what sells the whole thing. Don't you think?
You know, also is one of the few instances where a lot of the heaviness of
Yes.
the music actually comes out of the vocals
Oh yeah.
without being growly or anything like that.
No, it's kind of clean.
Because he sings heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know the
I don't know what that means. I get what you're saying. I don't know what that means. But yes, I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think it fits perfectly. I'm not necessarily a fan of the style either, but it fits so well Rammstein that I can't see anybody else doing it.
Agreed. What will be your pick?
I don't know why, because it doesn't really sound alike, but when you mentioned Rammstein, it came to my mind Gojira.
Oh, they are French.
They're French.
Actually, good pick.
And good band.
Yeah.
Good band. They are heavy as well, but
They're closer to my liking.
yeah. I think their stuff is not prog by any means, but I think you can
It
see
has
that
plenty of prog.
they are influenced by. I'm sure that they like quite a lot of prog music, but their stuff is hard hitting, but it's super well crafted.
Yeah, and it's also kind of sludgy.
Yeah,
You think?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it has plenty of that kind of a little bit of stoner rock, but also plenty of sludge metal.
But
at
it's
all.
not super into sludge.
No.
The super slow paced.
No, neither, because
Yeah.
it actually goes fast at times and very intense.
Yeah.
The one that they sound similar to is Mastodon,
Mm-hmm.
at least in my head.
Where's Mastodon from?
American.
It's American.
Yes, yeah.
So
No,
not a
they're
part
all-
of this
no.
conversation.
No, but Mastodon,
Off bounds.
yeah. But Mastodon, Gojira's sound in general shares that similarity with Rammstein
Mm-hmm.
and also with Mastodon because the three bands have this huge kind of wall of sound thing
Yeah.
going on for them. In the case of Rammstein, is mostly coming from the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But in the case of Gojira, I would say is an interesting blend between drums and bass,
Mm-hmm.
while the guitar is being used as the final push on the sides.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to you,
Mhm.
because it sounds monstrously big.
Yeah, but it feels more balanced.
Yeah,
Let's say because it's not necessarily from a mixed perspective.
Yes.
Because production-wise, they are all to a high standard.
of course.
But it feels like from a scale of importance, to put a word to it.
Yeah, no, but that's a good way to describe it, man. Because when you're mixing music, you gotta you start to establish who is gonna be taking on particular roles for the track. I'm gonna go a little bit nerdy, but for example, when you're mixing something, you will try to get first to establish which of the instruments is gonna be carrying the weight of the track, which is the low end. So that means that you would either go for the bass or for the kick the vast majority of times. But sometimes you can use a little bit of the guitar to push that low end. Why? Kick and bass are the ones who are gonna be the ones who are producing the biggest amount of low end for obvious
By
reasons.
their very nature.
Yeah, by their very nature. Guitars, they can go super low to the point of it being actually in the way of the kick and the bass. So normally speaking, you would try to remove some of the extra low end coming from the guitars. But depending on the sound, depending on the aesthetics, you can actually use the guitars to push and enhance the sound of the low end coming from the other instruments. And I think Gojira is one of those cases
Yeah, indeed.
because their music sounds like that, right?
Yeah, and it feels like the entirety of the ensemble is more balanced.
Yeah.
To that degree. It doesn't feel like the guitars are super ahead. Once again, in importance, in impact. in
Because
music.
if you compare them to Mastodon, the drums are louder.
Yeah.
in general.
The thing that the drummer,
The drummer is so good.
freaking good.
Oh, that guy's excellent, man. He's my favorite member of those guys.
yeah,
He's great. He's great. Please remind me the name because I always forget. But he also sings.
Yeah.
While doing that,
It's
like,
even more impressive.
wow. He doesn't sing that badly. So yeah, actually, yeah, but good pick.
So what's your next one then?
No, let me finish with these guys because that album that they released, Magma, I think is the one that where they shine the most when it comes to the quality of the production.
It's a little bit more daring, isn't
It's
it?
more daring in composition,
Yeah.
but also this dense aspect to their music is where you will find it the most.
Mhm.
So if I were to recommend an album for somebody who is not that into Gojira, I would recommend Magma. I think it's a good starting point because it's going to show you the best, not the best because I think they have better albums, but the most, the best equilibrium.
Yeah. And it feels more refined.
Yeah, production-wise,
degree,
yeah,
yeah.
it feels a bit more condensed as well.
Yeah.
Less effing around,
Yeah.
more finding out.
Yep. Any other French bands?
Yes, I would recommend as well. Talking about French, Alcest. Alcest is black metal / melodic metal from France. I know it's ridiculous because they have a little bit of that. Don't kill me, but a little bit of the screamo style of vocals.
Mm-hmm.
They rarely use them in their compositions. They have plenty. They rarely use blast beats as well, but they do use blast beats. The super fast paced drumming that is super black metal. Their music tends to be quite atmospheric. I like it a lot. It's very melodic, very kind of cinematic to a certain degree, but without being kind of redundant, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very focused, very intense emotionally speaking. I would describe them as a feminine sounding band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they have these. Let's say that if you last week we were talking about manly bands.
Yeah.
This one is the opposite.
And it's interesting because even by the genre itself, it would be more
Manlier.
manlier to put it in a way. But the thing is, it does have a soft approach to it.
It does,
Yeah.
and it works perfectly well. Because again, by feminine, don't misunderstand it. It's not about being girly. It's more about being on the softer side of things.
Yeah.
It's focusing rather on the action, more on the emotion. Okay, so that's what feminine and masculine stands for.
And
when it comes
any
to this.
particular album that you recommend?
Kodama. I think Kodama is a good starting point. It's very. It has everything that makes them good. The sound of the band is something that I never liked, being frank. The sound of the mixes. They sound a little bit opaque to my liking. They sound a little bit kind of not as bright as I would like them to be. But I think is the approach. Is by design, because the sound of their music is but it's very introspective sounding. So having something a bit more brighter sounding, for a lack of a better term,
Yeah.
could get in the way of the concept. But it's a great band. Totally recommend it. And the lyrics are really interesting to decipher.
Yeah.
To the accents kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's part of the fun, man. So yeah, I speaking of French, there is another band that I also recommend. It's called Damians.
I don't know that one.
Damians is actually a full-on progressive rock band, similar to Porcupine Tree.
Okay.
And
From when?
early 2000 and not early 2000s, mid 2000s. Let's say from 2000. I think the first album 2007 is Barack Obama first term.
It was a recent band.
Is recently, is allegedly recent,
Oh.
because that was almost 20 years ago, man.
Yeah, but recent when it comes to new good music being made,
Yes, yeah.
20 years ago is very recent.
It is actually. So I think they only have 2 or 3 albums, if I recall correctly. Great music, very. It has better production values. It sounds better than, in my opinion, than Alcest. But I think Alcest, due to the black metal thing going on, they want to keep it kind of close to the genre. That Damians, in contrast, their music sounds quite similar in the scope of the production values to Porcupine Tree. From that era. We're talking about the pre-Deadwind, because Deadwind sounds like
Kind of like Fear of a Blank Planet.
that's even for
There's ahead, yeah. No, what's the
this
one from before?
Lightbulb Sun and all of
Yeah.
these guys.
Yeah.
Fear, because the Deadwind is such a jump forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, very recommendable. Very recommended. Damians.
Damians. And is French?
No, it's in English.
Okay.
But in that one, you will hear the accent even more.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's very good. It's very good. A little bit, in my opinion, at certain points, a little bit redundant, but that's a matter of opinion when it comes to the song structures. But I think you're gonna enjoy it.
Okay.
Great musicianship,
Yeah.
great drumming, great atmospheric sound design. Vocals are kinda. They will remind you a little bit of the sound of the guy from Radiohead. What's his name?
I don't know his name, but
York something, right? Tom York. Yeah, it kind of has plenty of inspiration from his vocal style. I think he's a better singer. The one from Damians. Yeah, totally recommend it. I think it's a good band. It's a good band from La France. So your pick.
okay. So since let's stick to that portion of the world for the time being. I was thinking Italy now. We were even mentioning it earlier on today. Forneria.
Permiata Forneria Marconi.
Yeah, I always mess up the order.
How dare you?
Yeah, it's the most Italian name ever.
You can't go more Italian than that. Probably Giacomo Puccini or Mario. Mario.
Oh, it's a me, Mario.
Oh, it's a me, Mario. Yes.
But great progressive rock band.
Yeah.
I actually think they are one of the greatest.
It is one of the most popular bands from that period. We're talking about late 60s. Full-on instrumental.
Yeah.
Plenty of symphonic progressive rock elements. Plenty of flutes. A little bit of plenty of mellotron, because
Yeah. But
obviously
the orchestration,
It's
the way
great, man.
the way they use those varied elements that comprises the band is very, very cool.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I
Great
had
composition.
the chance to see them live.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Impressive. That's actually how I know them.
Yeah, are they still active?
I don't know, man, because I saw them live like almost 15 years ago.
So not necessarily.
No, they've been around for way too long, so probably they are retired at this stage.
Well, do I need to mention that? What's the name of the Paul McCartney is still ongoing?
Yeah,
so-
no, I'm just saying. I could be wrong, so please correct me. Yes, but great band, and
What's the name of that album? The one with the.
I know.
the melting,
I'm trying to remember. Is the one that the cover looks like
Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the
Yeah,
album
but
as well.
that's the quintessential Premiata Fornera Marconi
And
album.
it is indeed a very good album.
It's excellent. It's excellent. The entire thing, because it has plenty of progressive rock elements. So check on your phone and already have it there. I forgot mine in downstairs.
Well, let me check. Give me
Yes.
one
Well,
second.
while you find out the name, I'm gonna keep talking about it. Yeah, because that album in particular has plenty of great elements. Oh, not elements. It's a great representation of what prog rock is, particularly from that era, the late '60s. Has plenty of musicality, the right amount of prowess on their instruments because they're very good. They're actually kind of very very prolific and proficient on their instruments, but they are not necessarily speaking the best there is at least in the genre. Because from their own time you got people like Robert Fripp on guitar, you got Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So just saying. So the name, final got it?
Historia de un Minuto.
Historia de un Minuto. Yeah, that one.
Yes.
Perfect.
Very good album.
Yes, please do yourself a favor and give that guy a spin.
And look, their approach to progressive music is not the ultra technical one.
No, that's why.
It's the atmospheric, intelligent sounding
Yes.
one. Because you know what I mean when I mean kind of
100%.
intelligent sound.
And for those of you who have never heard of them, but you have some form of experience with prog rock from that era, think of Camel. Camel is heavily influenced by these guys. And because I think Premiata began a few years earlier than Camel. I might be wrong, but they're very close when it comes to the moment of which both of them debuted.
But I think Camel already kind of took it up a notch on the
A little bit
instrumental
more.
aspect
A little
of
bit
it.
more.
It's not super technical as well, but it has some moments,
has a little bit
especially
more-
on keyboards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see the influence.
Yes, clearly, man. Because and they are part of what is known as the Italian scene, because there is Italian progressive rock.
Yeah.
Why? Do your research. But well, listen to this album, you'll see why.
Yeah.
It has plenty of things that are exclusive to the Italian bands from that era, and I think Premiata Fornera Marconi is one of the best examples of that particular movement in general.
Yeah.
Very good. Good pick.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. Now talking about the Italy. How about Rhapsody?
Yes.
Nobody believes that they're Italian.
Previously known as Rhapsody of
Rhapsody of Fire, yes, and then Luca Turilli's Rhapsody of Fire. I don't know why they changed the name so often, but I think there has to do with some form of rights.
Legalese.
Yeah, it has legalese involved. Yes, such a great, stupid, ridiculous, awesome band that I don't listen to.
Yeah, that kind of music is also not one that I gravitate towards often.
Power metal,
Yeah, the thing is that they are quintessential power metal.
full on.
They are the power
They're
metal band.
deep power metal.
And they are great. They're a
Yeah.
very good band. There's
Yeah.
nothing to be said against it. But honestly, once again power metal, I like it in small doses.
But why don't you don't like it that for in bigger doses?
I feel that
It's too much Dungeons and Dragons for you.
It's not even the Dungeons and Dragons factor. I think that it gets tiring, from my perspective. If I have to listen to a lot of it,
Too much Conan the Barbarian. No, they don't sound like Conan the
No,
Barbarian.
they don't sound like it.
No, they sound more like the Lord of the Rings.
The thing is that it's way too fast-paced to be Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, yes,
No, but it's more.
imagery-wise,
No, but it's
makes
more.
sense.
Yeah, but it's much more Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
100%. Yes.
and they're very good.
Yeah, because some people may call them cheesy.
And
We don't talk to those guys.
they're kind of cheesy.
No, man, it would be cheesy if they didn't do it in purpose.
No, not cheesiness. I don't necessarily use cheesy as an offense.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the entirety of the 80s is cheesy.
but this
and
is
I
not
love
from
the 80s.
But this is not from the 80s. It's late 90s.
No, I'm just qualifying
Oh, okay.
the adjective cheesy.
Okay.
Cheesy doesn't necessarily need to carry a bad connotation.
No, but usually it has one. Why? For obvious reasons. It kind of gets tiresome fast. And in the case of Rhapsody, they never get boring. They might be cheesy, but they're never boring. And if you have never heard of them, you're gonna have a blast, because even if you listen to them just out of curiosity, you're like, "What the hell is this?" Because it's so Dungeons and Dragonsy. It sounds like, imagine going to a medieval fair, and imagine the music played there, but now turn that into freaking heavy metal, super fast heavy metal, with soaring vocals and a la Bruce Dickinson, but better. So yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's clearly they're inspired by Bruce and Dio. clearly. So it's super high pitch, that kind of thing.
They kind of take it up a notch. And so
Yeah, they
yeah,
pushed it even further.
And the guitar playing is
It's
also
always top of the line.
yeah.
So you got guitar solo extravaganza, keyboard solo extravaganza.
Yes.
The drummer is going as fast as is humanly possible and beyond. They never take a break. It's always fast and faster. The singer is flying.
I imagine that from a performer perspective, thinking of a concert, they
Damn,
must be
you end up
wrecked by the end.
You're exhausted, man. Like so fast, so
And every
intense.
single one of them, because it's very intense on every front.
Yeah, thinking of the guitar, the carpal tunnel things.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And also the bass player. Damn, that's intense, man.
Yeah, very good band, and they are all excellent musicians.
Yeah, very good band. The one that I would recommend is Dawn of Victory, even though it's badass. Yeah, and I would recommend listen to the song Dawn of Victory. Yeah, that track is like, yeah, that's a manly band that we didn't mention.
Somehow, because look, usually
It's manly like Legolas.
yeah, okay, that's a good
It's
description.
that kind of manliness.
Because honestly, I
The-
usually
Man, I wanna hate you, but you're good.
for as much as power metal has that, even the name power metal,
Yes, we're-
I don't usually find power metal to be very
powerful.
yes.
Me neither.
No, it's powerful, but it's not manly.
Man, you already got us in trouble.
I know I did, but you know what I mean, because it's what you want.
Yeah, it's kind of way too dramatic, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think of another European band like the power metal thing, Sonata Arctica, I think they're from Finland.
Yeah, I think so.
That's way too feminine.
And actually, in Finland, there's quite a few picks when it comes to that particular style of
Everything
music.
power metal was popular by them.
I think Nightwish is also Finnish,
Nightwish,
isn't it?
yeah, is it? Yeah, it is. I think it is. We will talk about them later. Yeah, let me just talk about Sonata Arctica.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
They're not a bad band by any means.
No. I simply don't like them.
Yeah.
Don't like them. And actually, I saw them live on Osmic Way.
But I can see the appeal. I know why you went to that concert, because they have a very defined audience.
Yeah, Weebos. Yeah,
And chicks.
yeah, but we were chicks.
Yeah.
So do the math. Why I was there? So
Yes. Because it is metal chick music. And,
it's metal, Weibo, chick music.
and once again, this is not necessarily a qualifier.
No, no.
This doesn't come as an offense. This
No.
doesn't. It's actually, they do it remarkably well.
Yeah, but being the internet, you gotta put three warnings.
Yeah, because they do have a defined audience. They know how to make music for their audience, and they're good at it.
Yeah, and
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and I gotta say that they are good live, man.
I imagine so.
Yeah, they are very,
imagine
very
so.
proficient. The guitar players are fantastic, both of them. Also, the keyboard player. I think the keyboard player is the best out of that band. Very influenced by Halloween, German. We'll talk about it later.
They're German.
Yeah, they are. Yes, Scorpions. Look at that. Yeah. Okay.
But the guy, the lead is Austriac, isn't he?
Boom. From Scorpions.
Scorpions, yeah.
What's the difference? Do I have to remind a certain paint? Like what's other? Like wherever.
How did we leave Germany without?
We're coming back to Germany. You'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
Every single's back to Germany.
Every one of those roads. But yeah, the thing with Sonata Arctica, great band. Their compositions are quite fun. They have that. They are masters of adding that right amount of pop elements to their music that makes it so catchy. Catchy is the word to describe.
Yeah.
Because they are far from being a Soki band. No, they are a great band. It's not for me. It's all jokes aside. They are simply not necessarily for me. But man, I can't deny that they're great at what they do.
Yeah, and the whole thing about the adding that kind of a seasoning of pop, it doesn't bring their music into the pop music realm.
Oh
by any
no.
means.
It's just
Of course, not pop music.
the catchy nature of it, man.
Yeah, and I think it's well used.
Oof.
It's very well played. I see that they're making music that
Broad appeal.
It would be niche by definition, because we're talking about
Power metal.
But honestly, they managed to make a niche kind of music have mass appeal,
Agree.
and I find that to be actually remarkable. I think that's a very good thing.
Indeed, I agree with that one. So let's go back to Germany.
Yes.
Let's talk about Halloween first, because we're still in the power metal. Allegedly, according to certain people, and I happen to agree with them, Halloween is probably the forefather of power metal. Some people call it speed metal. Nah. It's power metal because they do everything. Eagles Fly Free, badass freaking song. That's one of the most glorious of the glorious tracks ever written by humanity. The ending, man.
You know what? I like their sound, even though it's kind of dated.
Is it dated? Because it sounds 80s as balls, man. Of course.
Well, the 80s is dated. Most of the 80s is dated.
Yeah, but I mean they sound metal from the 80s.
Yeah, but I like that.
Yeah, but that
Because it doesn't
sound.
sound like modern metal.
No, but that sound in particular, Celebrity, has survived the test of time better than the Phil Collins snare.
Yeah, that's
That,
true.
because look, you know how much I love Whitesnake, but their 1987 album, Whitesnake, sounds super 80s. That's the one that's like, okay, this is where the cheese comes from, and I agree. Great album, probably it's one of the best albums ever by any rock band.
It's jam after jam after jam.
It's just jams, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Every freaking like, I can't believe that all of them come from that. I'm like, "Dang, is that good?"
Impressive.
Yeah, but that doesn't count because it's American and British. So
Yeah.
out of those. I was this close from going fanboy again
Yeah.
on those guys. Bad because John Saxman was there. No. Oh, shit. Yeah, but whatever. Halloween, they have a much more transcendental sound in those recordings. It sounds more like Scorpions.
Yeah.
Get me? Because again, I already reacted to one of the songs by Scorpions, Blackout from the album Blackout. No, what's the name of that one?
The breakout.
It's Breakout. It's not. Yeah. The song is Blackout.
Yeah.
That song, that album, I don't like how much it sounds, but later albums they nailed the sound because they were getting closer to that particular super, like Black Sabbath with you sound.
Yeah.
That late Rainbow stuff.
Yeah, but look, even though Rock You Like a Hurricane,
Yeah.
great song, a little bit overrated, not because of a bad song, but because they have better, and
Yeah.
that song is their biggest hit by a lot.
Is it? I think is was it?
No, outside of the ballads, I'm talking
Yeah,
the
because
their
yeah.
biggest rock and roll song, because their ballads are their most popular songs.
Yeah, but Love You Like a Hurricane so good.
The thing is, I love that sound.
Yeah.
That sound is the sound of Scorpions.
Exactly,
In the end.
and you see that it has a little bit of the sound from Halloween. Those albums, early albums, because that's what which one is that one? Keeper of the Seven Key. I think it is. Is the one with the Breaking the Wall?
Yeah,
I think it's Keeper of the Seven Key. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's a great album. Again, it's not my style of music necessarily speaking, but huge appreciation.
Yeah.
And excellent. And for God's sake, listen to Eagles Fly Free. That song is gonna, God, at the end we're like that.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
We're talking about a German band.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
Play it safe.
I'm not Kanye West. So, yeah. But now, again, Germany, Scorpions now.
Scorpions.
Badass band. What cannot be said about them?
I think Scorpion is one of the classics.
It is.
It earned the place alongside all of the classics.
And you know, again, Whitesnake fanboy here. I think Scorpions is a much more quintessential hard rock band and much more important to the creation of the sound
Yeah.
than Whitesnake is.
Even though it's kind of heretic, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because hard rock is, you can even put in that category some stuff from Deep Purple and even some Led Zeppelin for that matter.
Yeah, I think this, let's call it proto.
It's proto hard rock.
Yeah.
The thing is that those two bands could be proto metal as well, man. It's because those guys are so influential now, man.
Yeah.
They were something. Many
Yep.
thanks.
But, well, anything. No, but Scorpions, it has earned its place as one of those bands.
Yeah.
They are gonna leave a legacy forever. I think
Yeah.
it's one of those bands they're not gonna be forgotten.
Yeah, because they are still inspiring kids to buy a new guitar.
Yeah.
Somehow, it's incredible. The other day we had that. There was an interaction with one of you watching, and he was just sharing with us that his favorite band is Scorpions, and he was like what 15 or something.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So they're actually finding a footing in newer
Yes.
generations, and I'm happy to see. Actually, that's something very good.
That's why I refer to the sound, but to their sound in their music, their mixes, of course, the production of the albums, to be a much more transcendental one than the one found on our records, for example, Still of Night.
Yeah.
Still of Night.
What's
1987. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, because it's such a tasteful. It sounds old-fashioned, but it sounds old-fashioned in a way that is.
That feels timeless.
Yeah, it feels timeless. It's like getting a proper sports jacket, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or a-
Never gonna go out of
It's
fashion.
like an analog watch.
Yeah.
Like you can go wrong with it.
Never gonna go
Yeah,
out of
it's
fashion.
gonna look old-fashioned, yeah, but it's not outdated. Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite song? Because you can go from the obscure good stuff before they went bonkers
Yeah.
But when they went bonkers, they also had plenty of bangers on it.
But I like their prog face, even though
Yeah.
it's kind of, and I like because it feels like the underdog, you know, like
Yeah, so like nobody cares about that.
because it's easy to praise the Rock You Like a Hurricane face.
Yeah,
But what about the first album? What's it called? The first album,
there is one
which is very proggy.
it is super proggy, man. Damn it.
There's a song that's full on prog, and I'm
Yeah, Orion. I don't know. It has something to do with Orion. Check your phone again. Yeah, because
look, there's a song that is even hard to make the case that it is Scorpions because
Yep.
it's so proggy.
if you have never heard them before in this era,
Yeah.
you're gonna think that it's probably one of those obscure prog bands from the 70s.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's Friction Scorpions.
And look, Lonesome Crow is the
Yeah.
name of the album.
The album.
And the song that I have in mind is In the Search of Peace of Mind.
That one. Yes. But there is another one that is Orion something. Has an Egyptian name, if I remember.
I think you're messing up the albums.
albums.
Yeah, because this doesn't have anything Orion oriented.
Okay, whatever. But that one that you mentioned is fantastic. That album in particular is great. But it sounds nothing like the Bonkers version of Scorpions.
Yeah, the hard hitting.
Hard hitting, super in your face, short to the point.
Yeah. Which became the Scorpions.
It's the sound of the Scorpions,
Yeah.
and we cannot deny that ended up becoming who they are.
Mhm.
But you can even hear it there.
Yeah.
You know that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just the progress because they were doing what they liked,
Mhm.
and I still do because even much modern productions you can hear those prog elements.
Yeah.
They're very. Just think of what's the name?
Wind of Change.
Winds of Change. That's kind of proggy.
Yeah.
The way that it morphs into the
Very nice ballad.
Yeah, great ballad. Not necessarily my favorite, the Scorpion track, being frank.
It's a very good song. It's a very good song.
Yeah, but I find I love the verses, but the chorus always felt a little bit too. That's the cheesy.
But they play the cheesy chorus.
No,
That's
agreed.
why it's one of the biggest hits, if
Agreed,
not
but-
their biggest.
Holiday is better.
Holiday is a better song.
That's a kick-ass track because it's somber and then
Yeah. It
damn,
hits you with
Oh,
a
yeah.
vengeance.
and that's proggy.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of the prog era.
And look, even though their sound changed kind of dramatically, it doesn't have that feel of selling out.
No.
I think they are a very legit band.
Honest since the beginning. Yes, yes, because when they went bonkers, when they became big doing the Loving Like a Hurricane thing,
Yeah.
they stuck to that sound.
Yeah.
And unapologetically,
Mhm.
and you can see that. No, be sincere.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make more to sell more records. It worked. Stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you listen to the older records, you still hear again. Coming back to the particular comment, you're gonna actually hear that those influences were already there. It was
Yeah.
just about to happen.
Mhm.
Next one.
So-
Wanna go to the Nordic area?
S-
Let's try something that is not Europe for a change, man.
okay, so let's go more exotic.
Yeah.
Um,
The jungle.
The jungle, Brazil.
Yes. Which one?
So let's go.
There are a few.
Let's go first with Sepultura, which I think is the biggest.
It's the obvious
It's
choice.
the obvious pick.
It's the Cavalera brothers.
Yeah, and one thing with Sepultura that is kind of interesting, and I think is remarkable that they did it well,
Yeah.
because it's very easy to fail attempting to do it, is bringing regional
Elements.
elements into music that is mass appealing,
Mm-hmm.
because their music is metal.
It is, but it's closer to thrash.
Yeah,
It's similar to Metallica.
no, but it doesn't.
Early Metallica.
It doesn't feel like exotic music from an obscure part of the world.
Yeah, in the middle of the jungle.
In the middle of the jungle. No, it's actually music that any rock and roller can appreciate,
Yeah.
but it carries those elements with it in a way that is well incorporated.
Particularly the percussion.
Yes.
The use of percussions is quite unique to them.
Cavalier is a fan.
Yeah, he's excellent drummer. He's one of the best.
Yeah.
And I consider him to be very underrated. Because
He is very respected with
he's
him.
respected, but he's not. You don't see him that often mentioned.
Yeah.
Because probably it's because he's not as flashy. He's clever, and the way that he writes the pieces for the band is so musical and tasteful and unique. And look, I don't even listen to their music. It's not necessarily my kind of style of music. But damn it, they're very good.
They're very good.
They're very good, and it's funny because they became as big as probably one of the other bands from the 90s, early 90s, metal wise, like not as big as Pantera, but Slayer,
Yeah.
even to a certain point, of course, Megadeth became gigantic later, but yeah,
Yeah, I think they are there with those guys.
yeah, they actually
Maybe they're
crossed-
the lesser when it comes to that
Yeah.
particular circle.
but they are part of that clique.
Yeah. And the fact that they managed to cut through that market and make a name for themselves in a way that is comparable to Slayer, for instance,
Yes.
is remarkable.
Yeah, actually.
And they deserve it. They're a very good band.
Agreed. Now, another band from Brazil. There are another few, for example, Angra.
Angra, yeah, when it comes to
That's obscure stuff
Brazil,
now.
No, but Brazil rock and metal, usually Sepultura and Angra will be the first two names that pop to mind. And I
Question:
think
how is Angra popular in Brazil?
Angra is popular, but popular in that circle.
Okay.
Is not a name that you will go down the streets and everybody's gonna know it.
Okay.
It's kind of, if you like rock music, you probably heard the name Angra,
Okay.
and if you like metal, probably you like Angra.
Okay.
But you know, it's a contained
Okay.
cycle.
For those of you who don't know, Angra is a prog metal band from the mid to late 90s from Brazil that has plenty of power metal elements.
I would even frame it as a power metal band with prog elements rather than a progressive
I feel
metal
the same.
band.
I feel the same way as you do, but I think officially speaking, they're considered to be prog metal band. Wherever.
Yeah, I wouldn't frame it as such.
Me neither, because they sound way too power metal to me.
Yeah.
But the prog is very clear.
And look, I already mentioned a few minutes ago that I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of power metal, but I find Angra to be a very good power metal band.
Yeah.
I like their stuff, and I think they do the power metal well.
Yeah, they do.
Because it has all of the power metal tropes, very fast and technical guitar playing, the soaring vocals.
And speaking of which, Kiko, Loureiro is the guitar player right now for Megadeth. He's the lead guitar.
Usually from
He comes from that band.
and it was the platform that took him to
Of course.
that made him recognizable as a force to be reckoned
Yeah,
with
because
in the
he's
guitar
a name
world.
in the guitar world because he's that good for it.
He deserves it. He's excellent.
He's excellent. He's one of those guys. He's kind of like I wouldn't say as good as John Petrucci, but he's in the same vein.
Yeah.
He's one. It's like your Nuno Betancourt, your John Sykes, rest in peace. Yeah, he's one of those guys.
The thing is that one of the, I wouldn't call it drive. It's just something that necessarily doesn't bring me into power metal thing. The guitar playing, for instance, is extremely technical.
It's way too technical.
Extremely technical. It's very hard to pull off. You gotta be good.
Yeah.
You gotta be truly, truly good. But I feel that it doesn't necessarily have quite a lot of substance when it comes to, let's call it, a concept behind it or an emotional.
Oh, I can see. There is more about flashing out than expressing an idea.
It feels like guitar playing for the sake of guitar playing.
I think that most of the people who are, I might be wrong, but in my experience, most people who are into power metal tend to be either guitar players or they love guitar.
Yeah.
Makes
And it
sense because it's kind of a genre that is basically all about great guitar playing.
And my comment came from the fact that you brought John Petrucci into the conversation, because in the end he is the force of nature that he is, because he has that technical side, but his guitar playing is extremely,
He's balanced.
he's balanced, and he's very tasteful. He's very how can I, concept driven.
Yep.
How can I don't know how to put it in better terms.
Would it be?
Yeah, because it feels like it's actually telling something through the guitar playing rather than just playing a lot of notes very fast
Yeah.
and being very good at it.
He's like a weird mix between Alex Lifeson, Alex Lifeson, Yngwie Malmsteen, and David Gilmour. Does that make sense?
Somehow.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah.
He
yeah.
does great. We're not going to be talking about Dream Theater for this one, but well, you get my point.
We can have an episode
Because
dedicated.
Yngwie, he's from
Where is he from?
Scandinavia. Please remind me where is he from? Because he's from one of those countries. I don't know if he's Finnish or Norwegian. Norwegian.
Actually, I didn't even know that he was
Yeah.
Scandinavian.
He's Scandinavian. How about him?
What can be said about him?
Yeah.
No, but look, one thing that I even fell into the trap myself, and I think is a very
Common mistake.
it's a common mistake to make, because he's often, I think the image and the whole conversation about Yngwie, Yngwie, is bigger than his music to some degree when it comes to the public perception.
Yes.
People have more the idea of him being the ultra fast guitar player
The self-indulgent guitar player than the music.
rather than actually knowing his music.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell into the trap because I used to feel that I didn't like his stuff because he was way too one of those guys.
Yes.
But honestly, his music is awesome. He rock and roll bad. His music is badass.
He's badass, man, because he's. Some people put him, and I don't know. This is the tough spot to be in, because I think his music is hard rock and metal at the same time, depending on which track. Because when he goes metal, is full on, man.
Yeah.
But then he has plenty of the Yeah, from hard rock.
The thing is that his guitar playing, he's a classic music head.
Yes,
If
he
there
sounds
is-
like Bach, man.
Yeah.
He does, man.
But when it comes to the way that he writes his guitar parts, is usually very, very classically inspired.
And his pedantic personality doesn't help. And
And with the chops to pull it off. of
man,
course.
because that's the thing. That's probably why people hate him, because he's such a. But then, damn.
Yeah, but honestly, I think he's usually overlooked because people think that his music is not musical
No.
because there's way too many notes.
Rising Force. Listen to Rising Force. It's gonna knock your socks off.
Yeah.
Badass. Everything. And if you watch the Japanese intro to X-Men
Yeah.
with Rising, man, you're like, yes, that's it. Yeah, he was such a great musician. Man.
Yes.
And I happen to be a fan of him. In and out of the stage, man, because I love his personality. Because he's such a prick.
Such an arrogant ass.
Yeah, but the thing is that, but he has a point. And if you listen to him, if you give him the chance, you can learn a lot of things about life.
Yeah, no.
Because his arrogance comes from a place of actually earning it.
Yeah.
And there are not that many people in the world that have the right to claim to be arrogant
Yeah.
and prove it.
And the thing is that he's more than there.
Yeah, they're like,
Somebody commented something.
yeah, hi, sub basketry.
How's it going?
How's it going? Yes.
Good to have you here.
Yeah. So again, the whole thing with Yngwie, a great Scandinavian musician. He has been in several records, but most of them are produced by himself. And lately, he's no longer even. He's even doing the drums. But
Yeah.
he's programming them.
Yeah.
He doesn't, yeah, he's going for. I realize I can do everything myself. So. Yeah, talking about personality and being kind of a difficult guy to work with.
And look, since we already got into the Scandinavian hard rock, ballsy, badass music,
Yes.
Jorn.
Jorn,
Where is he from? He's not Finnish.
Norway.
He's
full on Norway, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy is Norwegian as you can get.
Yeah, and he's such an underrated gem. Being very honest, he's one of the best rock and roll. Rock, you know what I mean by rock and roll? It's not necessarily rock and roll. He plays metal.
He's closer to hard rock in general,
Yeah.
but he's great in metal.
The thing is that he's one of the best. I actually think he's one of the best we got,
Yeah.
and he definitely doesn't get as much praise as he is.
Yeah, we always try to bring him on because he's a fantastic musician. Jorn Lande, or Land, I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it's Lande.
It's Lande,
but
right?
I'm not.
Yeah, but I don't know because Jorn, even the name itself has the dots on top of the O and stuff, and I think it's Jorn that
Very
produces it.
Scandinavian.
It's super Scandinavian. He's a singer, fantastic singer, one of the best ever, in my humble opinion. Great composer as well. His music is always excellent. If you want to have an idea of what kind of sound or what kind of vocals we're talking about, he sounds similar to David Coverdale, but at the same time similar to Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, I think.
Get me?
Yeah, I think
Has-
the biggest inspiration is probably Dio.
It's Dio, but he has both. He has both in equal measure because he knows how to go deep and kind of somber like David Coverdale does without the sexy factor. Yeah, because the music is not the
It's
same.
not for that. Yeah, it's
No.
way too ballsy.
Ballsier.
Yeah.
But has the raspiness and the power and the projection from Dio. So good, man. So good. Favorite song?
What's the name of that album with the bird with the bird head? Like
Life on that road, man.
that's not. Is it Life on that?
The one on the bike.
No, not the one on the bike. The one that is a person with the head of a bird.
Oh.
Which one is that?
Oh, yes, I know which one.
I'm having a very hard time
You're
remembering.
farting at a brain level. Yes. What genre you like to listen to? That's a good question, man. Look, in my case, I happen to be quite fond of progressive rock and metal, but I tend to listen to a lot of classical music because I'm that kind of prick. A little bit of blues, but I like my blues to be more on the aggressive side of things.
Like Stevie Vaughan and stuff.
Stevie Ray and also Joe Bonamassa, or more contemporary. Because if you go to the super old style blues, the one that is the one from the black communities back then, I don't necessarily speaking resonate with that one.
There's
Yes,
a lot of good stuff.
they do, but it's not necessarily my jam because I prefer I like the electric guitar element. I prefer B.B. King, for example, or Albert King. Yeah, I prefer Albert King over B.B. King actually. Even,
How dare you?
No, because he's faster. He plays more notes.
Yeah.
He plays two more notes. Yeah, but when it comes to blue, but I happen to be a huge jazz head. I love jazz. One of my favorite musicians and more influential musical figures has always been Miles Davis. I always refer to him as the master himself. He's just a genius, one of the best musicians ever, and the way that he wrote his music is so great. He managed to learn how to use a trumpet and use it in a way that was mass appealing.
Somehow,
right?
Yeah.
Because you usually associate those kind of lead roles to saxophones, but he did it on trumpet. Like, wow.
Yeah, and he revolutionized the whole thing at his time.
Yes. Yeah, great picks. My favorite genre is funk, but I collect absolute obscure records and CDs from all genres. Now that's a good, and I'm glad that you're buying records. I'm trying to collect CDs because we're up to here with the whole idea of streaming. It's just destroying the whole concept of musicality. And the career that used to be music. Yeah.
Look, since you mentioned funk, which is a genre that we didn't really touch today.
I like funk as well.
Yeah, if you want to suggest us a funk band or a funk act,
yes.
They're usually not necessarily bands. They're
No. For example, you got James Brown. No, but James.
Yeah,
Brown.
exactly.
No,
That's exactly the thing.
That's all.
But someone that's not from either US and the UK. I don't know for how long you've been on the conversation, but the whole thing about today is talking about acts from around the world.
Yes.
Trying to avoid the usual suspects.
Yes.
Which are the UK and
America. Yeah.
So if you have a suggestion in the realm of funk, we will be happy
Feel
to
free
hear.
to do it. Yeah, because coming back to jazz is usually American. Jazz is usually American.
But fusion can be for anywhere.
Yeah, but fusion.
Because for instance, if we're going from weird places, we got Hiromi.
Oh yeah, good point. But if you want to be strict,
what?
70% of the band's American.
But the name of the act is Hiromi.
Yeah.
Hiromi, Japanese.
Yes. Hiromi is a Japanese piano player. She's a fantastic. She's very virtuoso.
She is.
In
She's
this
very
case, would
capable.
be virtuosa. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a female man.
Yeah.
So who am I talking? Yeah,
But she's very good.
she's insanely good.
Yeah, it is a trio. She performs with on an ensemble as a trio, and is Simon Phillips in the drums.
Oof.
Fantastic drummer, one of the best we ever
Ever.
got. And what's the name of the bass player? So
Stanley
good
Clark.
as well.
Stanley Clark, man. Kick ass.
So the trio is freaking excellent.
It's just badass jazz fusion,
Yeah.
insanely well crafted, super acrobatic, but musical at the same time. I even took a cousin of mine, my cousin, the famous one, Polilla.
Yeah.
I took her there when she was a child. She was
have her-
blown away. No, she couldn't believe it. How is this music? No, this is music. What you listen to shit.
All the rest is not.
All the rest is not. This is music. She was like, wow. Yeah, my hope was for her to pick up an instrument, and she never did. But at least I tried.
Disappointment.
Yeah, actually, Japan. Never thought about it.
And-
Japan X is also a band, but
But look, Hiromi, for as much as it's instrumental music, so it's not Japanese.
no.
But there is some Japanese elements to her piano playing.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean by it,
Yes,
right?
As a composer head now talking. For whatever reason, you start to realize that Japan has a particular way to write their music. Because that applies to every genre, not necessarily in this case jazz, but if you listen to, for example, even soundtracks for video games and movies, they have that thing.
That you can tell Japanese.
It's Japanese.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they do because it's not necessarily the cadences or the chord progressions that they use, because it's still music and their music is very is still using the structures of Western music. The thing is that they do that thing.
But I think I have an idea of what it is.
Oh,
It's even because of the way that they speak, some of their main melodies, be it vocals or in this case the piano playing of Hiromi, it has that kind of odd Japanese accentuation that it has that tendency of kind of elevating.
it does that.
Yeah, that kind of thing, which is a mimic of the way that they actually speak. Their language functions like that.
Never stop to think about that.
And I think that's the Japanese thing
No.
that can be perceived in the music.
Actually, what you're saying makes sense. Never stop to think about it, but you're kind of to something because even their language has plenty of accents, and their music has that particularity. Well, good observation. Yeah, here Basket tries saying I listen to a lot of unidentified music. Have you listened to that one? Not necessarily, but I know what you mean. It's a good way to get into underground music, and there is always a mystery to solve. Yeah, actually, because it's similar to the. I see this as the natural evolution of the whole sharing mixtapes from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting movement. And this whole thing of exchanging files, that's why I keep saying that there is some form of renaissance when it comes to the appreciation of music. Because I saw a little bit of tangent, but I saw a post on X a few days ago, on which somebody shared a concert outside of a house somewhere in America. It was packed. There was people on the roof.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and everybody was having a blast. But it was like the most primal version of a rock concert, man. And it was Zoomers. All of them were like, I think the oldest, I want to believe, the youngest, I want to believe, was 18.
Yes.
But we all know that that's
For legal reasons.
For legal reasons. So, yeah, but you see their faces, man, the excitement, the fun, the natural way of listening to music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like they are discovering it, and that's such a great thing. That's why I also keep pushing the idea that there is a renaissance also in the form of starting to own your own stuff. The whole thing with streaming has been shown to us and proven to us that it's not necessarily the best way to have anything, because you actually never own anything, and you expect to be happy. I don't know where I have heard that before, but it's starting to change, and I'm happy that this guy Basketry is already collecting stuff. Very important, and I want to stop supporting that idea. So please buy a pair of CDs every chance you got.
And it's catching momentum.
It's little by little catching momentum, and because you also see how people are starting to spend more time in places such as Bandcamp or Cobos, for that matter, where you can buy actually the FLAC files, the non-compressed albums.
Yeah.
Basically CD quality, but digital. Well, CD is digital, but where. So yeah, it's a great proposition. So yeah, we were talking about Japanese, another band, ex-Japan. You can go more Japanese than that one. It's probably the most famous one, besides Baby Metal.
What do you have to say about Baby Metal?
What a great product, man!
It is.
They knocked the ball out of the park, man. Fantastic. Man. I was there when they became a thing, when they were still kids, and goddamn, were they a hit. And the place I used to live kind of has a fondness for Japanese cartoons.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so you can imagine they were a huge hit, and I was doing the whole studio thing already. So plenty of bands that pop up. I always ask them, please share with me some of the influences that you got, so I can understand what's your vision, what vision is for you, for your music that you're producing. And there was a period in which everybody was just Baby Metal, like, calm down. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know a great Japanese power metal song. Share it with us, because it could be it's ex-Japan or GACT. Yeah, because those guys, ex-Japan is actually very, very, I would say it's power metal, but technical.
Yeah.
The drummer is excellent.
Yes.
The drummer from ex-Japan is fantastic.
What's the name of that guy, the guitar player, the Japanese guitar player that's very good?
Miyamoto Musashi. No, that's a Jazz Samurai.
Yeah.
No.
I can recall, because you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the guy I showed you, right?
Yeah, you showed me. Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah, it's gonna pop up later on. But look, just before I lose a little bit more the train of thought, even though we left that portion of the world a while back.
Coming back to Brazil.
No, you mentioned Baby Metal, and as a product,
yes,
it came to my mind Heavy Saurus.
Oh, Heavy Saurus, yes.
But which is also clearly a product.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
It is.
Actually, they're very good. They're very fun.
Yes. Heavy Saurus is from
Finland, I think.
It's power metal again. It's a little bit more of, it's power metal with a little bit of heavy metal.
Yeah.
And they are actually dinosaurs playing heavy metal, as you heard it.
Yeah.
When they're performing live, they're dressed up as dinosaurs.
It's so fun.
It's so fun because I know it's not a skit, it's not a parody. It's music for children.
Yeah.
So all their music is the lyrics and stuff is very, very childlike. But the music is full on freaking Halloween.
Yeah, it's metal.
Metal.
Yeah.
So everything's fast,
Yeah.
but everything's fun.
No, and the musicians are very freaking good.
I have the theory that it's a super group comprised of members from different badass heavy and power metal bands from Scandinavia.
I wouldn't be surprised. being
Me
fair.
neither, man, because it's so freaking good, man. And I think they got a song on which actually it's a prog song. It's like 8 minutes long, and they have guest appearances from people from all over the spectrum of.
I know which one it is.
That
yeah,
song
yeah.
is insanely great, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good as balls. And I think even the guy from Sonata Arctica shows up, or one of those guys, I don't remember exactly. Okay, Basket Ray saying, I'll Give You Life by an unknown band. Is the one that you mentioned, the Japanese one. It's very great. I Stolen by a Newgrounds user. Oh, Newgrounds, look at that. So you're an OG Newgrounds. Do you know? No, you don't know. User in 2008, and he had never created the band. He stole it from and claimed he made it. Okay, look at that. Still looking for the true band behind it. On the hunt for a few months now. Okay, I'm gonna listen to it because now you got me quite interested. Newgrounds, for those of you who are new to the internet, used to be YouTube for animation and fun before YouTube. For example, Sexual Lobster, Praise Be His Soul, best genius in this. He comes from Newgrounds.
Okay.
I actually discovered him on Newgrounds.
Yeah, I'm not as much as an internet dweller
As I have been.
as you have been.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not fully aware of
Yeah,
it.
so it's great to find another fellow Newgrounds user. Yeah, okay. And the thing is that you could also upload music. They implemented a music player to it at one point, and it was plenty of music got discovered like that. But it's very long. I know, man. It's been a long time since that happened, right? I sent a link to it. Did you go through the chat? Not yet. It takes a few seconds. There is a bit of latency. But it should show up. If it doesn't in a while, please send it back, because I would love to listen to that one, because now you got me interested. Because if it's power metal and Japanese, it could be Japan X. Not that X-Japan.
Yeah, Japan.
X-Japan. Because what's the other one that I'm remembering right now is another Japanese band from the 80s. Oh, they have great songs because they barely speak English. But they're fun. They're fun. But right now I'm thinking of Dokken, but because they sound similar to Dokken. It's from that same period, man. And damn it, how I can.
They were kind of
Wait. Night. Oh shit! I got it in my tongue. You made me lose it. It was because right now I'm thinking rock and roll crazy man, but that's another band. Oh shit! Okay, I lost it, but I will try to remember and I will share with you later, because it's such a jam, and they're actually good. A good background. It's more on the heavy. Is as Dokken is heavy, but Dokken is manly. This is a little bit more on the this is a little bit more on the hair metal.
Okay.
A little bit more hair metal, so it's a little bit more on the popular side of things. But they are fun because they speak English. so but the music is fantastic. But it's funny. They're like, what do you say? Yeah.
Yeah. When you do remember, please let us know.
I will. It's actually fun. It's fun, and it's a good band. It's a very good band. Yeah, but whatever.
Anything else from that portion of the world?
Asia.
Yeah, but Asia is gigantic. Let's try to go.
No, Asia's a great band.
Yeah, but
No,
Asia is not from Asia.
no, it's UK.
Yeah.
No, look, I'm trying to think of an. Oh yeah, or Fanatland.
Orphanland, yes.
Yeah, those guys Middle East. You.
I think it was. Let me be sure.
Yes.
Quickly,
Well,
you can introduce people
yeah,
to the
yeah.
concept, and I'll look up the.
Look at that great shot.
Yeah,
Because I
fantastic
couldn't read.
position.
I couldn't read the comments. Look, Orphanland is a band. It's a progressive death metal band.
Even in concept.
Yeah, it's already obscure from the Middle East. They have released, I think, 3 records as of today, and their music is very influenced by the sounds of the region. It has plenty of the chord progressions, and the structure of the tracks are very influenced by the traditional music from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Think in terms of Lawrence of Arabia, for real.
And look, they are Israeli.
Oh, Israeli. I knew it.
Yeah.
They were from that place.
Yeah.
So their music has plenty of those elements, and their first record, if I recall correctly, is Mabul. That's the name, and the concept. It's a conceptual album. It's the debut album that happens to be a conceptual album for a progressive death metal band from Israel. You can go more obscure than that,
You
man.
can go nicher than
Well,
that.
you can, because it's an allegory of the interaction between the 3 monotheistic religions based on Abrahamic tradition. So, look at that. Using animals as an allegory.
But getting to what matters, the music is great.
Badass.
The music is very
So good, man. Because it's once again, I never like to use the word epic, but it sounds epic.
It sounds epic, yeah.
Super epic. It sounds
Yeah.
super. It's dramatic,
Yeah.
intense, clever, super intelligent.
And look, once again, what I mentioned about Sepultura, about integrating correctly the regional elements
These guys does it as
in a
well.
way that makes sense and doesn't feel forced. These guys, I think they do it even better than Sepultura, because at times Sepultura it feels forced.
A little bit.
They sometimes they nail it, sometimes it feels a little bit shoehorned.
Yes.
But they do it very, very well because it has some sounds, some instruments even that are extremely regional, Middle Eastern by
Yeah,
nature.
because they use sitars and
Yeah.
all sorts of those string-based instruments that are. I don't know the names because there are plenty.
But it's very well integrated
Yeah.
within the music. Very, very
Yeah,
well
I
done.
think it's because metal uses plenty of those Middle Eastern scales.
Mm.
So musically speaking, it's already kind of in that vein.
Okay.
So it allows for the integration of those instruments to fit better in the mix.
Feel more natural.
It feels natural. It doesn't feel forced. But also the percussions, super. The drummer is very good,
Yeah.
creative, and the entire thing is excellent. I totally recommend it. Recommend it. Mabul by Orphaned Land.
And their music it has quite a lot of personality. It's very unique.
Yeah, I
Very
cannot
unique.
describe it with words. You gotta listen to them because it's actually. Wow, I didn't see that coming, man.
Yeah.
One thing, guttural singing, guttural vocals, because that's not singing, that's vocals. No, it is, it's not singing. So if you are not necessarily that fond of those, it might be a little bit of a harder listen.
Look, I don't consider myself someone who's fond of those, but I can appreciate.
I am.
No, but I can appreciate when it's well done and when it's well inserted into a particular kind of music.
Yeah.
Because there's music that actually calls for it.
Yeah,
And I think in this case it makes perfect sense.
100%, man.
So I wouldn't see this as a deterring factor. Quite the opposite.
No, I totally recommend it for real, and it's
Yeah.
one of those obscure bands that not that many people talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they managed to release, I think, 3 albums, they're not popular. Especially because they came out during the mid 2000s.
they're kind of like a cult classic to a
It's kind of
degree.
yeah, because they're not necessarily obscure, but they are not necessarily known.
Mhm.
Kind of an oxymoron, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah,
So, comments?
you can. Yes. Okay, YouTube keeps blocking me, blocking my the YouTube link to the song in this chat for some reason. You can type unknown artist. Okay, I will look for it like that, man. Thank you for sharing. Yeah,
And look, we're gonna be once the live stream is done, we're gonna be adding our Discord to the description of the
Yes.
video. So we can even keep the conversation going there. If you want to throw the link there, it won't be blocked.
yeah, because that it won't be locked. Good point. I didn't know that YouTube had this kind of policy.
Yeah.
YouTube, but whatever.
Regardless.
Yeah, talking about guttural vocal style, we haven't mentioned freaking Amon
Oh yes.
Norway.
Yeah. Well, coming back to the
Norway's
the Norwegians.
badass. Those guys are great. Yeah, because also you got plenty of black metal. Because I think Behemoth.
Abbath is not from Norway. No, Abbath is from.
Is Denmark, is it?
I think it's Denmark. It's so good.
That is fantastic. Man. Immortal is also badass, man. I'm a huge fan of those guys. Yeah, black metal has balls.
The thing is, Abbath,
It's more death metal.
somehow, it's fun.
Yeah, he is. He has fun. No, he's hilarious, man. I have never been to black metal. Immortal, first and foremost. Immortal. If you have ever seen death metal or the corpse paint, you probably have seen him. Because he's usually the first one to show up. Or people using his the same corpse paint. Because
Yeah.
it's not makeup, it's corpse paint. Yeah.
Big difference.
Big difference, for God's sake. But it's part of fun, man. Black metal is fun. And
The thing is that just a quick
Yes.
addendum. Black metal, yeah, I agree. I see it like that as well. Black metal is fun,
yeah.
but some people didn't get the joke,
Oh no.
and they took it way too seriously.
Way too seriously.
And those are the ones that bring a bad name into the whole thing.
Yeah, we're talking about mayhem and all of those moments. If you don't know what that is, you look up mayhem. Also do some research for Bursum. Also, you're gonna see or some fun stuff. Kind of criminal activity. But whatever.
Just a quick tangent.
Yes, but
Go.
yeah.
Immortal.
Immortal, great band, fantastic band. Also Dark Throne.
Every black metal is from that region.
Yeah, it is. You know why?
Mm.
The winter. And if you think about it, it sounds like winter.
Actually.
Ulver, It's also from the region. They used to sound like Winter. Now they sound like I don't know what. But they are, and I think they don't know either.
Uber is such a kind of an interesting phenomenon because how many albums do you think they have by this point?
Like 9 or 10.
And I'd say
I would divide it into 3 bands or 4.
or more. I'd say at least 4 bands. It will make sense.
Yeah.
Because you can listen from early Uber and modern Uber, and it doesn't really feel like it's the same.
Yes,
Uber. It's even hard to believe that it's the same band.
Yeah, Ulver, for those of you who don't know, totally recommended band, but depending on what kind of music you want to listen to, because depending what you want to listen to, I will recommend you particular periods of time in their career. The first 3 albums, if I recall correctly, are full-on black metal with acoustic elements.
Yeah.
Then you get the crazy-ass cinematic, massive sounding. You feel like you're going down a black hole.
Personally, my favorite phase of Uber. Personally.
I happen to agree with that statement as well. And then they morphed into this way too influenced by Depeche Mode thing with plenty of the dark and evil sounding, kind of trying to induce you into doing some form of terrible things. That's so catchy and poppy at the same time.
No, they're such an interesting band because, but the thing is, they have been consistent at one thing. They're good.
Yep.
Their music has always been good. And I can get the controversial nature of some of their decisions, and I can get why some of the fans are actually kind of pissed off at them. I won't blame them. They are right to be pissed off because the changes are way too dramatic and
without notice.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yes, but they always deliver.
Yeah.
They're very good. They are very musical. They know they are very expressive in their own way because whatever genre they're playing, the music has substance.
And it sounds like Ulver somehow.
And it's, there's some element that is very ever present in their music.
Yeah. Which album would you recommend? Because you went for the cinematic thing.
Yeah,
Shadows of the Sun.
No, the one after that.
Oh, the white one.
Yeah, the white one.
With the red logo.
What's the name of the album? I'm very bad for names today.
Yeah, you are. You are.
Because it's kind of almost going out of that phase.
It's like a little bit less crazy.
Yeah, but I think it's music that is already more accessible than the first album.
Yes.
Because the first album is very niche. It's black metal.
Super black metal.
But then the next phase is
ambient.
It's ambient,
but it's not ambient.
But it's also niche.
Yes.
Because it's very
kind of gothic sounding.
Yeah, but it's not for everybody.
No.
I think that the one that I'm talking about is the one that's bridging the two periods, because later on they become a little bit poppier.
Super poppier.
And there is one that's right in between that is very kind of artistic but poppy already. It's already kind of catchy. I can't recall the name of the album.
I'll check on the phone while I'm describing these guys.
Yeah, go for it.
In my opinion, if you want to listen to something like more on the ambient side of things, if you happen to like to listen to soundtracks for movies, but depressing movies for that matter, I recommend you to listen to Shadows of the Sun. That album is simply the soundtrack for you to of yourself. No, it's very depressing. It's super depressing. I love it. It's super sad, super atmospheric, super introspective, kind of like, it's like you're in an inner monologue, and it sounds like that.
Yeah,
sounds like an inner monologue when you're okay. We gotta go serious with this one, and I love it. It's perfect. It's very good, very good. Yeah. Not an easy listen, mind you. It has plenty of extended passages of tension. If you have a low attention span, it's gonna be a tough.
Yeah, you won't stick around.
But if you happen to be in that kind of camp, listen to The Assassination of Julius Caesar.
Yeah,
that album is just fantastic, man, because that's pop as all pop.
Yeah, it's the later stage over already.
It's the current stage.
Yeah.
For how long?
But that's not the newest album.
That's the first of that batch. The newest album is called Cities in the Sky. Is it? Yeah. Well, yeah. Great as well.
Yeah, The Assassination of Julius Caesar is perhaps their best album. The one I'm talking about is War of the Roses.
The War of Roses, yes.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a bridging that gap in between the time where they're very, very soundscapey.
Yes.
And they're starting to bring in the more poppy elements.
Yes.
It's not full-on pop yet, because the newer ones are actually full-on pop.
Yes.
But with very dark vibe.
Yeah, you feel filthy, right?
Yeah.
You finish the album like, Damn, this was dance. Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like I gotta take a shower, but at a spiritual level. Yeah, great band, great band.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you have another one to end this list?
Final pick. Let me see. Well, I think we're gonna have to have another episode because there's entire
Oh, there are tons of
entire
bands.
portions of the world that were the
Like Argentina.
yeah, or Canada.
Oh, you Canada. Oh, yeah, but Canada's like where?
But look, I think I'm gonna come back to Brazil just because it's a band that I want to mention,
Yes, just cause.
just cause, which is Massacration,
Yes,
because it's very fun.
stupid.
It's very stupid, and Massacration, if you don't know, Massacration is actually a band that started off as a skit, because it was actually out of MTV Brazil.
Yes.
There were two.
Wait a second. Was there an MTV Brazil?
There was.
It still is.
I think so. I've been out.
Well, no, I'm just asking because I find it interesting because that means that Brazil is such a big market.
Yeah, there was such thing as MTV Brazil,
Where?
and they were comedians actually. The detonator, the singer for Massacration.
Singer.
Yeah, he is actually a comedian, but this kid kind of worked so well, way beyond anybody expected.
Yeah, because they went international.
They went international, and actually at some point in time, I actually think they had Cavalera as the
Yeah,
drummer for
he
the band.
was part of it for a while. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's how I knew him.
Yeah, so the whole thing went way out of proportion, but outside of the fun element, actually the music is cool as well.
Yeah, it's not terribly.
Of course, it needs to be seen for what it is.
Yeah, but
It's a comedy metal act,
yeah,
but they're actually very good at what they
it's
do.
like a Weird Al Malkovich metal version, right?
Yeah, but I think Weird Al is full on comedy,
And he's parodying.
and it's parody, and it's not covered, it's actually parodies.
Yes.
Massacration, they have their own, even the name, Massacration.
It's not proper English.
No. Because even that is a joke about how Brazilian people butcher English.
Oh,
That's the way.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But yeah, very fun band. Their first album is No Evil Papagaio is the name of the song. What's the name of the album?
It's the one with milkshakes, right?
Yeah, the Metal Milkshake.
Is that one right?
I think the name of the album is Metal Milkshake.
I don't remember, man. It's been a while, but I think it is.
And look, their first album, I think as time went on, they became more metal, more regular metal music.
Yeah, they took it really less funny.
Yeah, because the first album was full on a joke.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I recommend actually, because that's the one that encapsulates the essence of the band. And
One thing, do they have to understand Portuguese?
Portuguese
How much
is
of it is needed?
Portuguese is an enhancer. If you can understand Portuguese, you're probably gonna have more fun. But honestly, I think that the music holds the fun value on its own.
Okay.
I think it can be fun to anyone listening. If you know Portuguese, of course you're gonna get the lyrics, which are fun as well. But I don't think that's a requirement.
Okay,
So
good pick. Good
yeah,
pick.
you just out of the fun factor.
Yeah. In my case, a final suggestion. Let me think. The one that comes to mind is 'cause I have already covered a good chunk of the world.
Hmm.
If you want to give it a try to something that is not necessarily that good, no, I'm
What a way to start a recommendation.
You know what? I'm gonna stop there because I can get us in trouble. So with that being said, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. As Diego said, we're gonna be dropping the link to the Discord for Music That Doesn't Suck in the description. In the first comment, it's gonna be the pinned comment, so you can join. And thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. For those of you new to this, we live stream these conversations every Thursday at this time frame.
Yeah, 5 p.m. Central.
And it's always recommended to have a revenge of your own making or something with a little bit of spirits in it while we have this conversation, because it is to recreate the experience of having this friendly conversation about rock music at a bar.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, the best way to support the channel is by joining, subscribing, and liking, and also ringing the freaking notification bell, because that subscribing means nothing. So please do that, and also you can support us even further by listening to music on Apple Music or Spotify, to be found there in the description video as well, and also by joining us on social media such as Instagram and X, because that's the best way for you to get in touch with us on a much more personal basis. Yes. So with that being said, as every single time we meet you, we remind you that you should never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that we'll see you when we see you about, not about.